Hey you, welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
I'm wife.
And together we're reading the Bible.
Starting with Genesis and eventually ending with Revelations, we're working through every book and offering our atheist 2 cents.
Or shekels.
Yeah, those. We're asking questions and pointing out all the nonsense.
We aren't academics or scholars.
Nope. In fact, when it comes to religion, we really don't know anything at all.
What we've learned so far is that God's a dick.
Oh, he really is, isn't he? If you're interested in how we reached this startling conclusion, maybe start from episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in anywhere. It's all good.
Yep.
Hey wife, we just got a new sponsor. It's Anchor. They must think we're doing something right because they picked us back up.
That's amazing. Want to hear something even more amazing?
Yeah?
I actually know what they are.
You are full of shit. I'm calling your bluff. Tell me about Anchor.
Okay, so Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place.
I'm actually surprised you knew that, but did you also know that Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer?
Yes, because I see you do that on your phone all the time and it looks pretty simple.
It really is, and when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
But I use CastBox.
Yeah, darling, I know you like CastBox. It gets distributed there too, and lots of other platforms as well.
And how much are we paying for this awesome service?
Absolutely nothing.
Coolio! So then we should tell people to download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started?
Yep, do it now.
Husband.
Wife.
It's a Q&A.
It is.
Do you have a Q?
I don't actually have any cues, but to be fair, I've been really busy and I didn't think about it a lot, so there's
okay.
that.
That's okay. I came up with a Q.
Awesome.
It has to do with crushed nuts and missing dicks.
Wife to save the day.
Yay!
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's go talk about crushed nuts and missing dicks.
Yay!
All right.
Okay, so in one of the chapters that we read this week, I can't remember if it was 20, 21, 22, or 23.
Sure.
But it was one of those.
Yeah.
And they talked about how if one of your balls is crushed or if you have a missing penis, then you can't go in the church. And we were all sad for them because that's not fair, right?
I wasn't really that sad. I was like, well, they get to skip church. That's awesome.
But I mean, if they wanted to go, they weren't allowed.
Right.
And that's why we were sorry for them.
Sure. Okay.
Because that's not cool, right?
Not cool, yeah.
I mean, it's not your fault if your dick got cut off or, you're born with your nuts having not dropped or what the fuck ever.
Right.
It's not fair. So, I read into that a little bit and I found out that very likely the translation that we read wasn't all that great.
Oh.
And that they were allowed probably into church stuff so they could still worship God and all that godly stuff.
Okay.
They just weren't allowed in leadership or political or military positions.
Oh. Well, that's completely different than what it said.
Right.
So that's a big mistranslation in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, we don't know what they meant by that life.
That's true.
So, but that would still beg the question, but why though?
Right. Why?
Right.
Because
what
the fuck does that matter?
Right. So, what it has to do with, and I know you won't find this surprising, is that God's covenant was very connected, apparently, to quote unquote seed, semen, life.
Got it.
And
he's all about the sex.
Yeah, these people were not able to
be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, they couldn't give babies.
Right.
And so, fuck them. And they
don't because you can't.
Nice. So, but there's another reason that they weren't allowed in those leadership positions or political positions.
Okay.
A lot of the eunuchs were that way because as babies or children, their penises had been cut off as sacrifice to various pagan gods.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, it was rough.
Oh, that's
Those
horrible.
were some rough days. So
Jesus.
They were like, you know what? You might still have ties to those old gods.
I think they'd be pissed at those old gods, personally. I think the motherfucker cut off my dick.
We're not going to mess with that. We're not going to mess with that god. We're not going to mess with your missing dick. And we're not going to mess with you. So you can come worship our Yahweh because he's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's it.
After that, go the fuck home.
Also, stand in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing is, do you remember, I think this was in the last chapter that we just read, when they were talking about illegitimate births and how, if you were the product of an illegitimate birth, you couldn't come into the church for like to the 10th generation or some shit like crazy. That. And we're like, that's not fair.
That's excessive, in my opinion.
Yeah. So there's a little bit more behind that. Okay. The illegitimate births that they were likely talking about wasn't just to do with bastards or out of wedlock.
All right.
It was incestuous relationships.
Oh.
Yeah. And here's why. So, you know how also it was like the Moabites and Ammonites can't come in here, get out?
Yeah.
So Moab and Ammon, from whom the Moabites and Ammonites descend from,
right?
Those were the two sons that were born to the daughters of Lot.
Oh.
Yeah, and remember they hopped on Pop.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So the Israelites were like, we're having none of that incestuous stuff, okay?
See, at the time when we were talking about that whole thing with Lot and his daughters, it seemed like God was kind of approving of it, but now they're saying, no, that's not we didn't approve of that. That's not good. This is bad.
Well, I mean, this is what the Deuteronomist is quoting Moses as quoting God.
Right. So maybe they were like, that doesn't look so good. Maybe we should make that look better.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, that was some crazy ass shit there.
Exactly. And so they were like, you guys are gross and you can't come in here because you're incest. I mean,
but still, to the 10th generation?
Well, if you think about it, an incestuous child is going to take... Right. If they mate with somebody, they're saying that the children that you have are still going to be tainted with that incest. Right.
I suppose,
like biologically speaking.
And by putting such a strong deterrent on it, they are ensuring that no one would want to, hook up with them, basically.
Yeah, so no kissing cousins.
Keeps that incest from happening again.
Exactly.
That's probably good.
I mean, socially, it's rough.
Right.
Because you're kicked out of everything.
Yeah.
But biologically, it makes sound sense.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of things in the Bible in a roundabout, weird fucking way that makes some sense that, they had these in place because of hygiene or because of incest in this case or whatever. I mean, there's things that do make some sense.
You're still punishing the child, regardless.
Right. And this all still goes back to, essentially the Bible is just a big fucking rule book on how to live life.
In a society.
And, they say it in story form because they don't, they're primitive, These are primitive people.
Right.
And they're trying to do the best they can with the information they have, which is very little.
Exactly.
They don't have science. Not really.
No, they have cutting off dicks.
Yeah. That is not something I want to... Yeah, no. Bad.
So that's what I had.
Okay.
That's what I brought to the table today for our Q&A.
Yeah, I felt like we were kind of running short of questions this week, and I was very curious. And this is still going to be a pretty short episode, but that was good information.
Yeah, informative and interesting.
Definitely appreciate that. So it sheds. I always like these because it sheds some light on what we've been talking about at some level, and I really could do this all day, just delving into different side stories.
It's interesting stuff.
We'd get lost. I mean, there's so much. There's so much. Every sentence is packed with so much shit.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, at least those holes they dug in the fucking desert, those are packed with so much shit.
Could you imagine digging that up nowadays?
Like, look, here's where they all shat.
Here's the shit.
Yay!
Here's the shit sticks.
Yeah. Oh, look, I found a spade. This is what they must have used to dig the holes for the shit.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Well, I think, is that all we got for today?
That's all I got for today.
All right. Well, we'll let you guys out of here, I guess, because that's all we got.
Class dismissed.
Hey, wife.
Yes, husband.
Did you know that we are now on Patreon?
Yes, because you told me, but also, no, tell me more.
So we're on Patreon now.
Are we?
We are. And our supporters can go there and support us, and we have multiple levels all the way up to You Killed God.
That sounds really drastic and escalated quickly-ish.
Well, no, there's multiple levels before there. So it escalates on a sliding scale of, cheap to not cheap. Oh. But, we can definitely use any amount. So, like, any support is always appreciated.
So what exactly is Patreon?
It's a place where you can show your support for our podcast. And
just our podcast?
Any podcast or any performer. But, we're the ones that, you're listening to right now. So maybe you should, support us. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. But we love you anyway.
So all you got to do is go to Patreon, look up Sacrilegious Discourse. It's actually patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse is our actual main page there. So head on over and send us some love.
Yeah. Husband, it's the end.
It is indeed, wife.
Tell the people where they can contact us.
Well, they can get a hold of us via our email, which is sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. We have Twitter at sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh, why do you keep doing that? Ugh. All right, we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a Pinterest page. But if you really want to get our attention, Twitter's where it's at.
Twitter is where you're at.
Yeah.
And they should also review, like, and subscribe, yeah?
Definitely. Apple Podcasts reviews help us out tremendously. And we also can use your support on Patreon, which is a great place to support us as well. That would be at patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse.
Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.